Good evening. It's another night talk with me. I hope you had a wonderful day. I am relaxing now. It's the end of a day, end of a long day. And I thought I would share an experience that I had with you, something that happened years back. So it's been probably about over 15 years ago. I lived in a different state and I had come to visit. And before I had come to visit, my brother had gotten a hold of me. He had moved out of this apartment that he lived in when I was still here. Real quick, that apartment is right across the hall from me. When he lived here in this complex, he told me that one night him and his son were watching TV. He was sitting in his white leather chair that was kind of by the door, and his son was on the couch. And he said that he looked over and there was a black, cloudy, misty type thing that was coming. It was like moving along up on the ceiling, coming from the kitchen area into the living room. He said he watched it go over to where the TV set was, and he said that it went up in the corner, and all of a sudden, out of it was a head that was black, was solid black. There were no features on the face at all. And he immediately said, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you." And it disappeared. It left. And my nephew told me, he said, it was perched in the corner like a spider, Aunt Shelby. So it had its arms back. Like it had arms. It morphed from it like a mist to arms and a face that popped out. Anyways, and then he moved. So that he moved into a house that was just right down the street. So he'd moved in there, and I remember him calling me and saying that they were watching TV, him and his, first baby's mom. They were watching TV when he said all of a sudden the entertainment doors flew open. Just flew open. He called me up to tell me, he was like, he couldn't believe it. Well, then I had come to visit, and he said, he was taking me for, like a look through the house. And he was like, the kids' bedroom is back here. So like you'd go through the kitchen, and then off to the right was a door that led into this laundry room. It squeaked really bad. The door, I remember telling my brother, like, you need WD-40 on that door because it squeaked really loud. We kind of laughed about it. And then past that, off to the left was, another door that went into the bedroom. That was the kids' bedroom. And my nephew told me that he didn't sleep back there. He said, "There's ghosts in here." And I said, "Oh, do you see them?" And he said, "No, they're too far away." He was like 4 at the time. And I just thought to myself, okay, he feels them, but he doesn't see them. It's kind of what was running through my mind. So I slept in that room that night. I slept all night long. I was going to watch the kids in the morning when my brother, went to work. So it's daylight. I pop my eyes open. You know how you just get that feeling that somebody's looking at you? Well, I got that feeling, and I kind of turned my head like that to look like behind me and to my feet. where the door was, and my brother was standing there. And he had on typical Brandon outfit. It was a red 49ers shirt and red 49ers hat and jeans. And he was like, he had this look on his face. Have you ever seen that movie, The Shining, where Jack Nichols is like chopping the door down with an axe and Shelley Duvall's inside like freaking out? You know, and he chops it down and sticks his head through the door, and he was like, "Here's Johnny." Well, that was the look. That was the look he had on his face. Not a look I'd ever seen my brother have. And he goes, he kind of slightly hunches over, and he's got his hands together, kind of like that, rubbing his hands together. And he goes, "Let's go do some pills." And then he turned around and he left. He walked out. And I'm thinking to myself, he had to go to work. What was he doing dressed in those clothes? He had to go to work. He had, he worked in a tire shed. He did tires. That's not what he would be wearing, And then I was thinking to myself, why didn't that door squeak? Why didn't I hear that door squeaking? And we don't have any pills, That was back when we used to partake in, Percocets. I mean, it was Percocets and Vicodin back then. That was kind of what we did. And I was like, we don't have any pills. So I got up. And I was probably about 30 seconds behind him, getting up. So I get up, I walk through the kitchen, and I look up at the clock, and it said 6 a.m. I go in his room, and he's fast asleep. Like, he's asleep. He's got no shirt on. He's laying on his stomach snoring. The kids are in his bed with him because they refuse to sleep in that, bedroom back there, the two young ones. They're all asleep. Nobody was awake. And I just kind of stood there, and I'm thinking, who was that? Who was that? What was that? That thing was solid. It was as solid as you and I. It was solid. I didn't tell him for a while. I mean, it was probably about a month before I actually told him that I'd even seen this thing. I remember saging, and now I know that saging isn't going to do anything with these demonic beings. These things are absolutely demonic. And do I think it was what was here? No, I don't. No, I don't. I think they're separate. Some people, they see things that other people don't. And, it's something that my brother and I have dealt with our whole lives. He's no longer with us, and there's others that are like me and like him, that they're these beings. I think they see your light. They want you gone. They want you gone. They see your light. They know that you're a threat, and they want to stomp you out. Literally stomp you out. And it got me to thinking, how often are we seeing these mimics, and we don't even know that's what they are, out and about, flesh and blood, like you and I.